Hey guys, Lynn Cox here, and Jimmy, stress and performance anxiety expert. So I wanted to hop on today because I was reminded this morning while I was training with my Kung Fu Club of another video that I've been meaning to record and put out here. So a while back, I'd read a very interesting article in Psychology Today, and that was a study that was done. It was several thousands of people were asked what qualities, what virtues they wish they had more of. And so, in order going from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, number 5 was forgiveness. People wanted to be more forgiving. Number 4 was people wanted to be more creative. The third was people wish they had more perseverance. And then number 2, which is the one I'm going to talk about today, was that they were more brave, more courageous. And then number 1, which I'll talk about in another video, was the ability to self-regulate. So bravery, it came up today because when we were training, my teacher in all of his infinite wisdom, he's a very wise man. It was only women in our group today, and he said it takes a very brave woman to be able to look at herself and not run away. So what does he mean by that? I'm going to read to you a poem by Rumi. I believe Rumi was with us in the 1600s. He's very, very quoted. I absolutely love him. I have his big book, and I actually have this poem I'm going to read. I have it framed. It sits on my desk so I can look at it often because this is absolutely one of my favorite pieces by Rumi. So this one is titled The Guest House. So the guest house. So Rumi says, this being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So Rumi, Gord this morning was essentially saying the same thing that Rumi was saying. And, I think that all of us are aware of this. It does take a level of courage and bravery to be able to be really honest with ourselves. So sometimes when I talk to clients, to new clients, people who are considering working with me, they're experiencing difficulty in some area of their life, typically related to stress or performance anxiety, and I've seen people for many other issues as well too. And one of the things that pops up is when I explain to them the process of, going into a hypnotic state to accessing the emotional subconscious mind where all of our memories are stored and all of our beliefs are imprinted, and the fact that we're going to go back in time, talk to the subconscious mind and figure out what it was that happened. What was it that happened formerly in our lives that has caused us to have a certain set of beliefs that are driving our thoughts and actions in the future. Some people express a real fear about looking at that. They think to themselves, oh my God, what's going to come up? I don't know what's going to come up. What if something terrible happened? I don't think I want to know that. I'm worried about knowing that. Some people fear that they won't be able to mentally and emotionally be able to handle what it is that's come into their house. If we're using the Rumi analogy of life being like this house. But it, one of the things about being human is that we're going to experience a range of emotions and a range of experiences. And many of us do shy away from those things that we find to be uncomfortable or hurtful. I mean, I'm looking at this poem from Moody, the dark thought, the shame, the malice. Shame and judgment against oneself those are some of the most difficult emotions to deal with. But they can be really, really good indicators of what we need to turn around and face. Fear. What is that saying about fear being the acronym for? It'll come to me later. I'll remember that. But basically, feelings need to be felt. Feelings and emotions are often indicators of something that we need to address in our lives, to face, to learn from, to change. And part of being mentally and emotionally agile is the ability to know that you can face anything, even if it is something that is so hurtful, that is a betrayal, something that you did that you feel so ashamed of, that wasn't your best work, that wasn't you acting in your highest, really being courageous and brave and being able to look at it, to be able to feel what needs to be felt, but then to also learn from it, because a certain level of lightness will come once you do that. I mean, I've talked about this before. We have all sorts of coping mechanisms to avoid, to, as my teacher said this morning, to see ourselves and not run away, because it is our instinct as human beings to seek comfort, to seek those things that are familiar and not challenging, but really to live a very full life and to feel like you are a courageous person, to feel like you are somebody who you can trust yourself. That's pretty much one of the most important qualities that people need to work on developing in order to feel good more of the time. And then in turn, when you know that you have the courage to face these things that can be difficult in life, these difficult feelings, perhaps they're difficult conversations that you need to have with other people, difficult decisions to make. Once you know that you will do that and you make it a habit to do that in your life, your esteem for yourself will grow. You become more courageous, and courage begets courage. That will start to expand in your life, and you will find that you're more likely to take on more challenges, take on, risks that are calculated, not like really, really dangerous risks, and grow and expand yourself. So it's a fine balance of feeling discomfort in order to fully realize yourself, or be on the path to fully realizing yourself. And I really do admire people who face issues head on and go through whatever process it is that they need to go through in order to be able to learn from and grow from it. This is really interesting too, because our body can be a way to get there. Our body does store emotions and memories. And I actually know somebody who's a very renowned yogi. And when she was earlier on in her training, she should have been more flexible and able to do the splits, but she was finding herself getting really stumped. And so her teacher basically told her to go off and meditate until she figured it out, because he knew full well that she was physically capable of doing the posture. So she sat in quiet meditation, and she actually had a memory of being sexually molested and assaulted when she was a younger child. And as soon as she had that realization, it was like she said something released in her body and she was able to go into the splits physically. So often the body will store these messages for us. So kind of like the Rumi poem. Also tune into your body to see, are there aches and pains? Are there parts of your body that you're not feeling? And two, are there parts of you that you don't want to look at? For some people, it takes a lot of courage even to look at their body, to look at themselves. The amount of, shame that people have over how they look, how much they appreciate their body, appreciate this physical vehicle that we're in. The amount of shame and dislike that people have for that, it's a lot. And we really cut ourselves off from our bodies, particularly in Western cultures. It's a shame because it holds so many hints for us, and really we can access our courage through our body as well as through mental and emotional and psychological practices. So I just encourage everybody to think about, what is it that you're maybe, turning away from, not wanting to look at? Are there difficult, challenging discussions with somebody? Maybe it's interpersonal relationships. Maybe it has to do with your career and work that you're unwilling to have, not wanting to have, putting off having. Are there, creative pursuits and endeavors and dreams and desires that you wish you could pursue that you're not pursuing? And just know that you can start with, little things to help you feel more courageous. One of the teachers who I really admire is Jeff Thompson. And Jeff went through a process, and I believe he has a book on this, but he knew way back when, I believe he was in his 20s, that fear was running his life. And he was looking for answers, and he read all the books he could get his hands on, but he never found the answer in any of the books that he read. So what he decided to do, and this is pretty ingenious intuitively, is he made what he calls a fear pyramid. And he started with his, smallest fears. I believe they included things like he was afraid of spiders, he was afraid of the dentist, right up to his top level fear, which was a fear of violent confrontation. And he started to use the process of desensitization. So, for example, with the spider, he, captured a spider, looked at it, touched it, got really close with it, went to the dentist. And he is a martial artist, and he, in fact, when he got to the top of the pyramid, he continued his studies in martial arts, and then he actually took a job as a doorman at a bar in one of the most violent towns in Britain. The name of the town is escaping me right now, because that was his top level fear. And I mean, this is an extreme example, but he really conquered his fears and continues to do so. And since then has written multiple books and screenplays and made films and won BAFTA awards. And, he attributes so much of his success and his growth to starting off with that fear pyramid process. So, you really got to access your imagination. Know that if you're avoiding things, you're likely going to be better off if you address them. And also know that you're not even aware of how much you can grow and what can change for you. But as you start to take these steps, doors will open. I mean, what Rumi says here, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. If you could start to look at things from that perspective just a little bit, it can be a subtle shift in how you perceive these things, but the payoff can be enormous. It can be absolutely enormous. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've worked with a lot of people who have faced their fear, who have looked at themselves and not run away, and, gone into that process and are very happy that they did. So that's my talk today on courage and bravery. Wishing you all access to that because everybody has it in them, and have a wonderful day.